Well, that took longer than needed. Everyone level 100 yet? Good. Upon entering the town, Ston overhears some public abuse going on by the guards who mean to flog a child just for bumping into them. Delivering the beans of justice on their backside, Ston causes a ruckus, forcing the party to, on top of being upset with him for his rash actions, now trying to avoid detection from every guard in Moreau. Suddenly, this game turned into Metal Gear Solid. And, well, just when things are starting to get worse, hey, you know what we haven't had in this roster for a while? A new character! Enter Carol Sheehan. He is an estranged 26-year-old son of an aristocratic family, choosing the lifestyle of a bard over the riches of his family's estate. He may seem fragile from outward appearances, but he can provide useful support in the party through songs played on his lute. When his lute songs are learned, Carol can become surprisingly strong, yet he will not obtain a sword in the story, and depending on what you do later, same thing with Bruiser Kong, he can actually leave the party and retain rulership later and, well, not return.
Carol sees Ston's group in peril and quickly offers them a hiding spot. Not giving much of an option, they all agree, and Carol uses his bard skills to persuade the guard to leave the area. The group, not sure what to make of this, is puzzled by their new supposed ally. Carol admits that he wants to stop Batista as well, because he captured a friend of his, and, well, it's the right thing to do. Though the group is hesitant at first allowing newcomers at this point to join in, they rationalize that more heads are better than a Leon. And he already did save them once. The new group plans to invade the castle and strike down Batista. However, Carol, knowing the conditions of the town, explains that it won't be easy since guards are heavily protecting the area. However, he knows a detour.
Oh, well, of course. He's a bard. He knows all the details.
Using a boat and a Batman grappling hook, Jesus, Bard's a badass, they manage to sneak into the castle where Ston resumes leadership. Making our way through the castle of absolute hell, gets used to that, there's a lot of those in this series, and there is this room. Everyone finds Batista waiting for them. Finding the willpower to fight off Leon's torture, Batista has a final battle with the group. We'll give you 5 seconds to guess how this went down. If you guess we won, then...
Ding, ding, ding! What do we have for her, Johnny?
Carol demands to know where his friend Fate is, and Philia is promising Batista's safety if he surrenders and tells them all what they want to know. Here, Philia grows a bit as a character, because for the most part she looked up to Batista since she used to work with him back at the temple. But understanding how the world works, she is learning to be more true to herself and firm in her actions. Batista acknowledges her growth but refuses to cooperate further, on top of just saying that Lydon and the Eye of Antimony are apparently far from here. And by forcing his tiara off of him, he commits suicide via a fatal electric current. Philia is saddened by the loss, and the group decides to let her mourn for the moment, while they go into the next room to save Fate, who happens to be the son of the former Lord of Moreau, Zeno. Team Destiny is informed of the plans from Fate that Lydon allied with King Tiberius, and has killed his father. They then imprison Fate in the cell to ensure no rebellion against their plans.
The plan being for King Tiberius to invade Senegal with Lydon. It's clear now that Carol has his own agenda and has reasons to hate the king all on his own, because apparently Tiberius got his power through corruption and lies. Fate grants Carol and the group passage to Tarazzi, where the king's castle is awaiting them. Ston and friends are ready to take the battle to them in the direct way by busting through the front door. Oh, by the way, this room sucks. We find Tiberius on his throne and waste no time taking it away from him, and Lydon starts getting away while the getting was good. Carol and Leon have a moment with the king, who is now dying from the battle scars. He then claims that while he thought he was in control and ready to start a war, he was actually being used all along by Lydon, who just wanted it all to himself. Before dying, he has more harshness to throw Leon's way, but Leon instead cuts him short. And when we say cuts him short, we quite mean that literally, ending his life. Lydon, seizing the Draconis, which is a flying ship, makes his escape to Fandaria, narrowly escaping Ston and the gang, who were in hot pursuit. Carol, understanding the position of the current kingdom, cannot afford to leave it in such a state, so he decides to leave your party and rule over the territory. He wishes the best of luck on the adventure, and we return the same enthusiasm back. Meanwhile, Fate will grant us passage back to Fandaria, where everyone assumes by now Lydon will have snatched control.
It is reasonable to assume. Batista did it pretty much overnight. On the way back to Fandaria, Fate gathers the crowd on deck, enlightening that an invading fleet is also returning fire. And we should fight back. Well, of course. However, this was definitely not how we had it in mind. Wow. First there was a billboard announcing Tekken 3, and now this. Namco was really trying to plug their franchises this year, weren't they? I mean, what's next? The Tower of Jiraga making an appearance?
Shut up.
Once we reach Frostheim Harbor, fate departs our company. Speaking of departing, we notice that Mary is gone. Again. God, we need to put a bell on her.
Excuse me, anybody out there? Hey, has anybody out there seen a huge 6-foot-tall Amazonian goddess wielding a huge giant off axe? Anyone?
Oh, there she is.
As the snow starts to fall, Mary and Ston have a talk as it appears Mary is slowly starting to regain her lost memories. Soon after the party leaves the forest, getting into more random battles along the way, geez, at this point we start feeling like exterminators, we then cross paths with a very familiar face. Gar! After saving him from some soldiers that apparently want to do him in, the party takes him back to Frostheim. When Gar regains consciousness, he informs the group that Heidelberg has been under siege and that Lydon is the culprit. With the Eye of Adamani, too. Unfortunately, he has turned the castle into an enemy stronghold. Clemente, Filia's Swordian, recognizes Gar as a Swordian user himself, and it's revealed that Gar is from a royal family. Things have become even more dire as it's revealed that the Swordian Egtenos has fallen into enemy hands as well, which belonged to Gar. With youthful abandon, the group decides to trek to Heidelberg to obtain the Eye of Adamani, and Gar decides to drag his broken self along as well. Gar explains that there are two routes to reach Heidelberg. One is through Tilzo Forest. However, Lydon's army happens to be guarding it, so it's really not an option. So, our adventurers decide to take the route through the mountains. The group comes across an ice chunk blocking the way, and it is here that Gar gives Ston the Sorcerer's Ring, which is one of the mainstays of the Tales of series. However, in this game, to use it, it is a little inconvenient. For one thing, it uses a lens every time you operate it, so you need at least one, which means you can't go around spamming it. Second, you have to equip it to an item, which unfortunately is a waste of a slot. Thankfully, this would be rectified in later games. Similar to the channeling. After trekking through the Winter Wonderland, our motley crew reaches Heidelberg and makes their way to the castle. But they immediately get spotted. But don't worry, we are sure Ston will think of something.
Hey, what are you doing there?
We're just taking a walk, you know? A walk?
Thanks, Don. Suddenly, Mary steps forward and instantly recognizes the man in front of the gate, as she calls him out by his name, Dallas. This promptly triggers Mary regaining her lost memories. But before any elaboration can be made, one of the guards recognizes Gar, and the jig is up. Why did we bring him with us again? The band splits up. However, Ston, Rudy, and Mary are quickly captured. While Dallas is interrogating Mary, Rudy and Ston are busted out by Leon, Filia, and Gar. But not before Leon zaps Rudy again.
Well, we all have our hobbies.
Afterward, they make their way through the castle when they find Mary and Dallas in the midst of a heated conversation. It is revealed here that Dallas is Mary's long-lost husband.
What a twist!
He naturally refuses to believe, so Mary, through flashback, explains that Dallas was once a member of the Syra militia, and that he saved a young woman who was the last survivor of a defeated army. That woman turned out to be Mary. She herself would join the Syra militia and fight alongside Dallas, eventually falling in love with one another. But their little love story would end when Syra was attacked, and the last two survivors were them. In order to keep her safe, he sealed away her memories and made their escape.
Dallas continues to deny it, however the false memories in his head are starting to confuse him as well. Suddenly, two guards interrupt the whole proceedings. Darn it, just as we were getting to the good part! Dallas regained control and knocked Mary away, instigating a battle between him and his guards against Ston and the party. Unfortunately for Dallas, we pretty much wiped the floor with him. Dallas lay dying with his memories restored. Mary cries over him. The gang grabs his body and then they flee. We then use an underground passage where they meet Darzan, who is one of Gar's loyal servants. He takes them to a secret room where Dallas is being treated. Afterward, he and Mary decide to return to their home in Cyril. You see, this is a bad thing, because when party members leave, they unfortunately take their equipment with them. Which means...
She takes the channeling with her!
Yep, that's right. We found that out the hard way. If Mary is player 2, when she leaves, she takes her equipment, including the channeling, with her. which means Tales of Destiny is once again a one-player game. That is, until or unless we can find another channeling somewhere in this vast world. And that is why the channeling system is an all-around fail. This was something that had to be rectified in the later Tales games. After defeating an ice golem and navigating the clock tower, the band finally confronts the man of the hour, Lydon himself. Like any halfway decent villain, he gives us a cocky monologue, you know the routine. How feeble we are compared to him, how inevitable our defeat is, and how the world will soon be his, and how we don't stand a chance, yada yada yada. Let's just kick his butt already. Yeah, once Lydon is done, he starts to activate the Eye of Antimony. Oh no, here comes the second form! Oh, never mind. It turns out that he can't control its power, and the Eye of Antimony just flat out kills him outright. Rather anticlimactic, I must say. Gar reclaims the Swordian Ictenos. Unlike other Swordians, Ictenos is pretty much dormant because of forced usage by Lydon. However, history for Ictenos is that during the Aether Wars, he was once the leader of the Intelligence Division. As a Swordian, he would be passed on in the Kingdom of Pandaria from king to king as a royal symbol. Anyway, Ston begins to celebrate victory, but is cut off when the Eye of Antimony starts to overload. Realizing this, Leon acts quickly and orders everyone to install discs in their Swordians. They surround the Eye of Antimony and encase it in a force field, preventing the explosion. The discs were Leon's secret weapon for closing the Eye of Antimony and bringing it to the king. Gar himself has his objections, but decides to accompany Leon back to the king with the Eye of Antimony in tow. And with that, the heroes return to Darylshade.
They report to the King of Senegal, and after some negotiations with Gar, they are able to reach a mutual agreement that will keep the eye from being used again. But now that the mission is over, Ston has to give back Dimlos, as it was recovered by the country's archaeology team. And, well, you remember what happened during Transit at the beginning of the game, right? So, reluctantly, Ston forks his sword buddy over. Oh, poo. It was a good sword, too. So, finally comes the time for our heroes to go their separate ways. After exchanging goodbyes, we finally have our one-on-one scene between Ston and Rudy.
Why don't you kiss her instead of talking her to death?
How's that?
Why don't you kiss her instead of talking her to death?
Want me to kiss her, huh?
Oh, youth is wasted on the wrong people.
We're gonna pen out this obvious love romance, aren't we? With that, Ston returns to his home village of Linnea, and reunites with his family, including his sister Lilith, thus ending his adventure. Oh yeah, right! You should have known better than that. And, you know, it's never a good sign when a question mark is talking.
Some time passes, and Ston is living the good life. Sleeping in, eating his sister's good breakfast. Yep, life for the country boy is pretty sweet now. Until one day, Philia, with Dimlos in hand, descend upon his humble abode to inform him that the Eye of Antimony is missing. Again.
For real? Damn!
The king has asked for Ston's help in retrieving it. Ston agrees, despite Lilith's strong objection, and we are out the door once again. We round up Gar and Rudy, check on Mary. Give us back our channeling! Yeah, she's still not ready to come with us, meaning Jean's still not playing. Afterward, we make a stop to Armada village, where we bump into...
Oh my god, it's them! It's Kless and Archie from...
Tales of Fantasia?
Hey, remember when we did that retrospective on that game? Good times, man. Good times. So, why are they here? Well, turns out they've traveled to this world to make sure that the star of this game is indeed the right man for the job. And considering Ston is kind of a country bumpkin, well, we can't blame Kless for being concerned.
I mean, hey, we are trying to establish a series here. I mean, we can't let it all go down the tubes only on our second outing.
They decide to give us a little quiz. They ask 50 Tales-related questions. Now, you have to get 35 correct in order to pass, but of course, we got them all right. I mean, come on, we are us, the Tales of guys after all. And we had a cheat sheet. That's beside the point. And our reward is a sacred skill known as Throw Sword. I remember when Will learned Throw Sword.
Hey there, and welcome back to the... Ooh.
Also, by getting them all right, you get another channeling.
Oh, thank God, it's two-player again. Now, this quiz was just optional, but you know, it was very nice to see old friends again. I wonder if we'll see them again in the future.
We reach the king, and he explains that when the Eye of Adamoni was stolen, 2 people went missing, Hugo and Leon. So it appears that they are the ones who lifted it, and apparently split with the Draconis. The party heads out to Hugo's mansion to look for clues. There, they find a book with the code Libra 4 on it. An Oberon employee tells them that the Libra is a code name for the factory on an island north of Cresta, which is now allegedly abandoned. Believing that this is where Hugo is, the crew sets sail for it. They discover that the factory is alive and well, and that there are Hugo loyalists there who want the team dead. Our heroes of course make mincemeat out of them and traverse several hallways through the help of passwords, ID cards, and the like. Eventually, they make their way down to the lower levels and confront Hugo himself, who not only has Leon and Rembrandt, but Marion as a hostage. Hugo is controlling Leon through Marion, making him face off with the group as they run off. Stan and the others ask Leon to step aside, but of course he doesn't. He then explains that it was all Hugo's doing, and that he used them all to get the Eye of Adamoni for himself. Rudy steps forward to address him when it's revealed that Leon is actually Hugo's son.
And that Rudy is Leon's older sister. She was abandoned by Hugo long ago. The truth, unsurprisingly, hits Rudy like a ton of bricks. Leon, with full resolve, attacks the group, and the battle begins. Leon puts up the best fight that he could, but he is overwhelmed and defeated. Just then, the place starts shaking as the countdown to the end of the world has begun. The cave starts filling with water. Our heroes escape, but Leon is swept away by the rapids. But not before saying one last goodbye to Marion.
Leon! Leon!
ここも間もなく水に飲まれる。付き合わせてすまないな、シャル。
どこまでもお供しますよ。僕のマスターは坊ちゃんです。
これでよかったんだろう、マリア。